Hello, everyone, and welcome. It's Shanna here. Now, I have got my little scrap jar here, and it is just busting loose with pieces of scrap. So, we're going to do a scrap buster card, and I'm just pulling out all the pieces of pattern paper here that are speaking to me today, and I'm going to lay them out on my desk, and we're going to make some cards. Actually, we're going to make 3 cards. Now, I'm also pulling out some of these Valentine's patterns here, but I'm not going to use them. I'm just anything that is jumping out at me, I'm going to pull out and consider using for these cards. So I'm just kind of organizing them now as to which pattern papers I think would match up well with which, and just kind of organizing them and getting a feel for what I'm going to use. So I've laid 2 piles out here thinking I'm going to make 2 cards, but then I wind up making 3. So we're just going to get going on this, and it's going to be a scrap buster. Now I'm bringing in this cellophane bag that has panels that I have previously cut and laid aside that I decided not to use. And I've also got a panel that I've die cut out of the center of, or near center. And this is when I decided the 3rd card I'd bring in the carrots and the orange. So you can see this, I've taken and die cut the center of this out. And it's not even. I didn't get it right in the center, but I'm going to use this panel. This is a piece of scrap that otherwise would be trash, but it is Spellbinders paper, and I'm not going to waste it. So I'm trying to decide what I want to do about the hole in that center. If I wanted to lay a piece in there to kind of level it up, and then I decided I'll just measure it, and I'm going to cut this other piece of scrap down to fit in that hole. And so I've just got my small little wooden ruler there, and I've got it laying, and I'm actually going to make it just a smidge bigger than that square. And the reason why I'm going to do that is I'm going to bring in some of my fun foam, and I'm going to cut it down just slightly smaller than my panel, and then I can tuck it into that little hole there, and it will add some dimension to this panel. So I've just cut it down. I'm ripping the back off. I'm going to lay it on the back of that paper, and it's only got adhesive on one side, so I'll glue up the other side and we'll get it laid down on there. And I just tried to choose a fun foam that was similar in color to the background panel. Now I've got this stripe plaid piece of paper, and I really love the collars in it and everything. And I'm trying to figure out how I should use it, and I decide I'm going to strip it up. So I'm cutting roughly 1/4-inch strips, and I say roughly because they're not completely straight. This Cricut trimmer, when you get to small pieces like that, it gets kind of challenging to cut it up. Now, if I had known I was going to do this, it would have been much better to have done it before I laid my panel down, because I could have just stripped them across, all the way across, if I had enough of them. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make do, and I'm going to glue down around that square panel, and I'm just going to get these strips all the way around this square panel. And this will make for an interesting looking card, something different I've never done before. So I'm going to cut a lot of this footage out because you don't need to see me gluing every little tiny piece on this card. I'm going to put one on the top, and then I'm going to start filling in beside there. So I'm going to cut little small pieces and glue them down all the way around this panel, and I'll cut most of that out so that you don't have to watch me. I did 11 pieces on each side between there, and they're not lined up. I didn't try to line them up exactly. I just eyeballed it and got it laid down on there, and I think it made for an interesting looking card. So now I'm just looking, what else have I got? What else would I like to use? I'm just pulling things out and trying to figure out, which pink I like best, what I want to do. And I find this piece of pink here it's cut very nice. It's got a good edge on it. And I'm thinking I'm just going to lay that down on the side of this panel just for some interest. And it was just a smidge longer, so I just trimmed it up, and I'm going to just glue it right down on this panel. And then I'm thinking I need some kind of a focal point. So I had laid out some of these little ephemera packs that I got in my haul the other day. And I'm going to dig through these little dogs and figure out what I'd like to put on there. That little dog there is cute, but I think I need one that's more vertical. So I'm kind of looking at the vertical dogs. And then I chose the one with this little bandana around its neck. This little dog, it's a little bit darker than my daughter's dog, but it's the same kind of a dog as her dog. And I'm just going to layer it up. There were like 4 or 5 of those in there, and they're really thin. So I layered 2 of them up together. I put foam tape on the back, and I popped it up on this card, and I think it looks really cute. And then I've got this Violet Studio sticker pack, which is the same as the Violet Studio dogs. And I'm going to take this Celebrate, and I'm taking my anti-static powder and getting the sticky off of the back of that sticker, and then I'm going to bring in some foam tape, and I'm going to line it, and I'm going to pop it up and get it laid down on here, and we'll have a little Celebrate card, and it looks like a birthday card to me. And I think that looks really cute. And we'll get it laid down. And I'm thinking I've got some room for some embellishments on there. So I'm going to bring in my Pink and Main embellishments that came in this month's kit, sprinkle some of these flowers out, and I'll pick the ones that best color coordinate with what I've got there. And they're just 3 little flowers, sequins, and I'll just get them laid down on there, and that'll finish up this card. And I think it turned out really cute. Now I'm going to work with this blue panel, and it had some kind of paint or ink or something on the back of it. And so I just turned it over, and I'm going to use these 3 strips for this card. I think they look nice together, the colors, and I need to trim them down a little bit so that I can put space between each one of them, because I want that blue panel to show through there. So I'm just going to trim these down with the Cricut trimmer and get them laid down on this panel here. And I decide I need to cut this one down a little bit more. And just trying to decide which piece I want to use on that. Okay, and now I'm just going to glue them up and lay them down. And I like that gingham paper with that plaid. I think I really like it. The gingham and the plaid are Pink and Main, and then the green watercolor paper is, I can't think of it at the moment. I'll just link it in the description box below. Anyway, I'm going to trim this panel down. It was uneven. I didn't realize it was uneven when I started, but I'm going to just trim away and try to get it evened up and get it to something that I can use. I think I wind up taking it down to 4 by 5 1/4. And I'm just trying to figure out how I want to do it so that it works out. And there we go. So we've got that. And I'm going to bring in a top folding card base, and we'll just get this laid down on it. And I like how that looks. I think it's neat, the pattern and everything, but I've got to have a focal point. And so I'm digging through everything that I've got setting across there, trying to figure out what I want to use for it. And then I remember I have this yellow piece of paper, and I'm thinking it kind of pulls the yellow out in the plaid paper. And so I'm just going to bring in one of my Cat Scrappiness fancy stitch circle dies and die cut out a circle. And I'm going to also take another smaller one and die cut out a foam piece so that I can pop it up, glue it down, and we'll have some dimension on our card. And then I've got these Pink and Main Cinnamons here that I had just stamped and die cut a bunch of them out. And I'm just going to take this Take Care that's in blue and lay it down on there, and that'll finish up that card. And then next we're going to work with this Carrot and Bunny scraps that we've got here. And we've got an orange panel that had already been cut down to A2 size. And I'm just going to lay these strips down on there and get them trimmed up. And we're just going to alternate between the bunnies and the carrots and just try to space them apart. Got to get it in the right direction. I want my bunnies to be going in the same direction on both panels. and then get my last bit of my carrots laid down, and it'll go clear to the end, so I'm going to trim this one up as well. And it's hanging off the edge. I don't know why I bother cutting it, because I'm going to trim up the panel. And I'm going to trim on the other side where the bunny is so that we don't have any of the edge of that showing there. And then we'll trim the other side so that we have, and I believe this one is 4 by 5 1/4. And then I remembered I had this green panel that was laying there, and I checked it to make sure it was A2 size, and I thought it was. And I needed to trim down just a little bit more off my card so that I had the edge was the same all the way around. And I'm going to bring in another card base, fold it up. We're going to do a landscape. And we'll just get this laid down on here with our green as our base. And our scrap panel, we'll put it on it next. I'm trimming up. The green was a little bit smaller than the A2 size base, so I had to trim it up, and then that required me to trim up that panel as well. So I trimmed them both up, and I'm going to get this laid down on here. And I think that looks really cute. That green in the background helps pull out the green on the carrots. Now I'm just bringing in some white strips. I have a separate bin that I keep strips of hammer mail on. And so I just grabbed a couple of those, found one that worked. I'm going to die cut these 3 bunnies. This is a trio of bunnies from Cat Scrappiness. I'm going to die cut those out so I have 3 bunnies. And I'm going to look for an orange scrap that'll match my pattern paper, and I'm going to do their tails in orange. Normally I would do them in pink or something like that, but because this card's mostly orange, I'm going to do orange. And then I've got a darker orange, and I'm going to bring in this carrot die from Cat Scrappiness, and I'm going to die cut out a carrot for this card. And I've got the carrot die cut out, and I'm going to get my bunnies laid out, and I think I'm going to glue their tails down, and then I decide to pop them up. So I've got some little foam circles, and I'm going to put it on the back of their tails and just get them popped up, and then we'll get them laid down on the card base. So this afternoon, you can see I didn't have my light on. It was daylight, but it is overcast, so the lighting's not that great on this video, but I was really just playing. I did turn the camera on just before I started, and I was just playing with all of these scraps and just having fun. You can see all 3 of these cards are very different. It's an eclectic mix of cards, but it's, an eclectic mix of scraps that are in that bin. Now, I had sticker paper on the back of this when I die cut it out, and it kind of pulled apart and made a mess. But I glued the die cut back down, and then I decided that, I'm going to put the greenery on there, and that'll help fix it. But I also decide to die cut out another carrot, and then I can kind of layer them to kind of cover up where that came apart. So I'm going to get the die for the greenery for the top of the carrot, and I'm going to die cut out a couple of those, and we'll get that laid down on there. And then we'll layer our 2 little carrots, and then we'll get our bunnies on there. And there we go. So now we'll just position our bunnies where we want them, and I'm just going to glue them straight down on there. And I thought it best for me to lay them down before I put the first one down, so I'd have a general idea of how they were going to fit on there. And I'm just putting a little more glue on that bunny's ear, and I've got my bunnies laid down on there, and I think they look cute. Now I've got this bin with all these sentiments from Pink and Maine that I had stamped and die cut out earlier, and I'm just going to use this Happy Spring sentiment. It's in black ink, and pop it up and get it laid down on, and that'll finish up this card. And we'll have 3 cards done, and I have busted some of my scrap. I still have quite a bit to go, but I used the pattern paper that I really like. So I hope you like it. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye now.